Thank you very much, sir. And ladies and gentlemen, with that, we have with us physicist Dr. Amory Lovins, who is the co-founder and chief scientist of Rocky Mountain Institute, energy advisor to major firms, including more than 100 electric utilities and governments in more than 65 countries for over 40 years, author of 31 books and over 530 papers, and recipient of several awards. Since the 1970s, he has developed many of the concepts and strategies that underpin today's global transition to efficiency, renewable energy sources, distributed generation, and resilient grids. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is. Let's welcome him with a big hand.
Thank you. Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you for the honor of sketching some energy surprises that I'll elaborate in a much longer talk in the next session. India has launched an electricity transformation of extraordinary ambition, speed, and early success. Yet the emphasis on supply has outrun understanding of equally remarkable and even lower cost opportunities for very efficient use. And without in any way compromising India's ambitious goals for providing far more and better energy services, especially to those most in need. My lecture will offer some Indian examples of energy efficiency far beyond the levels normally assumed. For example, quintuple efficiency office buildings and irrigation pumping, even bigger savings in pump and fan and motor systems and in data centers. And the more efficiency we buy, the bigger share of our needs can be met with renewables all over India, and the less investment will lead to provide greater effect sooner. Now, an important element of an integrated and flexible electric grid could be electrified autos and smaller vehicles that could grow quite quickly and help get India off oil, improving security and prosperity. Weight causes 2/3 of the fuel used by a typical car, and removing weight leverages 7-fold bigger fuel savings at the tank. So 16 years ago, my team designed a half-normal weight carbon fiber hybrid SUV getting 28 to 48 kilometers per liter with a 2-year payback. 9 years ago, Toyota showed such a concept car with the interior volume of a Prius, but half its fuel use and 1/3 its weight, just 420 kilos. And now 50 to 110 kilometer per liter carbon fiber electric cars have come on the market from Volkswagen and from BMW, which says that the ultralighting and the carbon fiber is paid for by needing fewer batteries. New processes to manufacture carbon fiber structures tougher than titanium, like this, but 2 by 2 meters, can now do that job in 1 or 2 minutes, and they're in the global supply chain at automotive cost and speed. And if we made all just US autos this way, we could save 1.5 Saudis or half an OPEC worth of oil at a cost of $18 a barrel and falling. That pays for the electrification. The ultralighting is actually about free, paid for by a 2/3 smaller powertrain and radically simpler automaking with only a 1/5 as much capital. Such cars could be very well made in India, and a policy called a febate just raised the market share of plug-in cars in Norway to 22% last year. Now, obviously, electric cars, especially heavy ones, need thousands of batteries, and making so many drops their price dramatically. Tesla just sped up that drop 3 years with another 30% drop expected by next year. This will speed both getting cars off oil and switching electricity production from fossil fuels to renewables. Because smart vehicles trading electricity and ancillary services through smart buildings with smart grids will help to integrate variable solar and wind power into the grid, making the oil and electricity problems easier to solve together than separately. Such vehicles may be half paid for by trading those electrical services with the grid in background. And as mobility merges with IT, the shift to what we call SEALs, that is, shareable electrified autonomous lightweight service vehicles, will make smart grids even more valuable. Cities are getting smarter as well. China plans in the next 15 years to build new cities for as many people as America has, but designing those cities around feet, not cars, means 2/3 less driving and 1/3 less concrete. So integrating and distributing where people live, work, shop, and play means people needn't travel far nor by car. And shifting from an arterial vehicle network, now common in Chinese cities, to a capillary web builds a human ecology with vibrant commerce, rich social life, but equal or better throughput, cleaner air, happier citizens. The 53 cities already doing this new urbanist design, and more to come, will use little oil. I hope many of those will be in India. So already peak oil is emerging not in supply but in demand. U.S. petrol use has been falling for 8 years, European for 10, and like whale oil in the 1850s, oil is becoming uncompetitive even at low prices before it becomes unavailable even at high prices. This is good news for India, whose oil imports constrain national security and cost as much as the whole GDP of Gujarat. And my lecture will describe how, not just in vehicles, but in industry and buildings, integrative design can often make very big energy savings cost less than small or no savings, turning diminishing returns into expanding returns. But just the progress with efficiency technologies is remarkable enough, as illustrated by contrasting old and new lighting technology. Thomas Edison's incandescent lamps and better new types became more efficient over many decades. But now in each decade, white LEDs get 30 times more efficient, 20 times brighter, and 10 times cheaper. In the next 4 years, they'll take about 2/3 of the world's general lighting market. Now, LEDs turn electricity into light, but inside out, they're PVs, photovoltaics turning light into electricity. And in the past 5 years, solar power has become cheaper than just the fossil fuels we burn in U.S. power stations. That's the dashed lines at the bottom. And wind power, the lower aqua curve, is now so cheap in the United States that it often makes old coal and gas and nuclear plants shut down as uneconomic just to operate. So on both the demand and supply sides, technology is changing faster than we can comprehend. And in India, as around the world, modern renewables are taking over the electricity market. In the US, for example, the range of wholesale electricity prices is now widely undercut by the average prices at which wind power and utility-scale solar power are being sold on long-term contracts at constant nominal price, hence declining real price. India's lowest solar bids are as low as 4.34 rupees per kilowatt hour, beating power from imported coal, and probably later this year, they're expected to beat domestic coal power as well. And some international bids are already a fifth lower than even these remarkably low Indian bids. Largely or wholly renewable power supply also does not require a breakthrough in bulk electricity storage if we properly integrate diversified portfolios of variable renewables and dispatchable renewables and demand response. Germany last year was a third renewably powered, but in 2014, 4 other European countries with modest or no hydropower got about half their electricity consumption from renewables, adding no bulk storage and with superior reliability. For Denmark and Germany, 10 times US reliability. Indeed, the ultra-reliable former East German utilities, 50 Hertz last year, got 49% of its total electricity just from wind power and photovoltaics. So my lecture will explain how this grid integration works and why India's renewables revolution need not wait for storage. Meanwhile, the efficiency potential keeps getting bigger and cheaper. For example, our 2010 retrofit of the Empire State Building paid back in 3 years and saved 38% of the energy. That was considered pretty good. until 3 years later, our cost-effective retrofit of this even more difficult government building saved 70% cost-effectively, making this half-century-old building more efficient than the best new U.S. office, which in turn is only half as efficient as our own new office, just completed with about 84% savings and no mechanical heating or cooling equipment. The main progress here was not in technology, but in design, in the choice and combination of technology. In new and retrofit offices, the bar's been raised on efficiency by about a factor 2 or more in the past 5 years, just through design, which isn't on most people's radar because it's not a technology. It's a retrofit between the ears. So what can efficiency and renewables add up to? Well, 5 years ago, 60 colleagues and I showed how the United States in 2050 could run a 2.6-fold bigger economy, $5 trillion cheaper in net present value, emitting 84% less carbon, with tripled efficiency, quintupled renewables, no need for oil or coal or nuclear energy, no new inventions, and no acts of Congress. The transition could be led by business for profit under smart subnational policies. And so far, the U.S. is approximately on this trajectory. In a few weeks, our Reinventing Fire China team will publish its equally deep collaborative analysis to help inform the Chinese government's 13th five-year plan, just approved. And the government's top energy modelers showed in rigorous detail how China could raise energy productivity 7-fold by 2050, carbon productivity by 12-fold, $3.7 trillion cheaper than business as usual, supporting nearly 7-fold economic growth by 2050, using about the same energy as today, and emitting 2/5 less carbon. India has, I think, a similarly startling potential to save far more energy than current analyses suggest, particularly because you're not as far along as China in building so much infrastructure. You're maybe a third done, they're about 2/3 done, so you've got a bigger opportunity to build things right, easier than fixing them later. And in my lecture, I will offer nearly a terawatt of profitable efficiency examples. I think India's negawatt revolution may prove fully as important and exciting as the renewable revolution, now so thrillingly begun. India's impressive political, business, and technical leaders have boldly begun to solve your nation's energy problems and the world's, adding equally ambitious efficiency gains as you build your new infrastructure can probably at least double renewables' share and turn India from an energy deficit to an energy surplus country. More in the next session. Thank you.